Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew from Comic Books Drew Dracy's House of Fun. And this week I'll be covering a topic that has really been covered over and over and over again, but I'm just giving my opinion. I've been a fanboy for 50 years, and I've studied, I don't have a degree in comics, but this is about copycat characters from Marvel and DC and back and forth. And this is going to ruffle some feathers. So I want to start off with one out of the blue. But you'll see. The first Fantastic Four book, from issue 1 onward, the sales really picked. And it was just a good selling book. And then Spider-Man came along and all that. But Marvel was still very precarious. They had a lot of other books that just didn't sell. So, but they had been on a roll. And Stan's uncle by marriage, Martin Goodman, he ran Marvel, and Stan insisted that he's like, our formula with Kirby is so great, I can make any book sell, even a war book. Yeah, no. They are not going to take a chance. They're not going to take a chance on something out of the blue like that. And however, I feel like what initiated it was Sergeant Rock in his first appearance in Our Army at War, and this came out in '59, and it built a following, and it was published up until 1978 or so. It became, Sergeant Rock as a title. So I tend to think that because back then publishing, they were eager to copy each other, whatever worked, whatever was selling. They're not going to. Like Daredevil was good, even though it took Bill Everett a year to do it, working overnights after his day job. So that's how I feel about it. It's like, Sergeant Rock's taken off. Kirby's, he was an infantryman, and Stan was busy writing pamphlets during the war about soldiers and avoiding social diseases. I'm not putting that on. It's actually true. So that's my first theory, okay? Because Sergeant Rock, they needed hits. They're having, just like when Martin Goodman went golfing with Jack Schiff or somebody from DC who was a higher up, and they got the idea for FF because JLA was selling so well. So I'm going to go to a very controversial book. X-Men and Doom Patrol, and this isn't the best representative right here, but they had, the leader was in a wheelchair, and they were outcasts. X-Men were called the strangest superheroes of all, and Doom Patrol was the world's strangest heroes. Now, they say, they came out about the same time, with a lead time and all that, like a few months. They couldn't have possibly seen X-Men 1 or vice versa. And here's the thing, though. There is a production thing, but people talk. People were like, Stan basically, he wanted to continue doing Daredevil, but, Bill took so long that it took that year. And so, in the meantime, he did the Avengers and the X-Men just to get product out there that looked really promising. So, but here's the thing also. Both X-Men had the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and the Doom Patrol had the Brotherhood of Evil. Now, come on. Between the world's strangest heroes and the Brotherhood stuff, and a guy in a wheelchair writing things, and the characters are freaks, are rejected by society, but they're protecting a society that doesn't like them. Come on. No. Like I said, it's not like they saw X-Men on the racks and said, we got to do Doom Patrol, blah, blah. There is a 3 month time lag. At least there used to be. When I was in my prime, when I was really kicking ass in DC, you were late if you weren't 3 months ahead, which is so laughable now, because I don't even know if anybody works that way anymore. But DC was very regimented about that stuff, and it was great because it attracted people who were devoted to what they do, and you kind of get rid of the ones that are playing around, not doing their deadlines and stuff. Excuse me, nose again. Okay, I have another thing to come up with. Red Tornado in the Avengers, as well as the Vision, no, Red Tornado in Justice League America, and another cover by Dick Dillon. I always like the shading he does, or he did, at the top of the head, like the forehead going into the face. He did that on a lot of characters. It looked really great. So Red Tornado, he was sent to destroy them. Then he got rehabilitated. Same story, but here's the thing. Roy Thomas, being a huge Golden Age fan, he wanted to bring back the Golden Age Vision, which he was. In fact, you see the smoke. Maybe it was his way of getting a little bit into it. But the Golden Age Vision, he was a lot like. He was kind of like the Spectre, only not that powerful. He didn't grow tall or anything, but he come out of a plume of smoke, and he had magic and stuff like that. And but Stan told him, and this has been recounted countless times. He says, "Make him an android." And Roy was a little bugged at first, but he was a good soldier. He did what he had to. But when Stan says, "Nice character," make him an android. I mean, come on. At the same time, so there must have been something in the air. Can't put that up. Okay, wet my whistle. And slobber on myself. There you go. And then finally, there's a lot of contention about this. Swamp Thing and Man-Thing. So, here's the deal. Swamp Thing actually appeared in House of Secrets. The cover was a young Louise Jones, who everybody loved, and she continues to be lovely to this day. She's a sweetheart. Okay, there was time between this. Now here's the thing. People were like, "Oh, Man-Thing, they wouldn't know about that." I don't think either of them ripped each other off, honestly, because just recently, before these books came out, The Heap came out from Skywald, which was Sal Brodsky and some guy with the last name of Wald. And The Heap, maybe people... This came out before. I really think Len Wein and Roy Thomas were inspired by The Heap, and it came back, and I think they had a little concern because The Heap was huge in the Golden Age. I mean, he was an air boy, and he was a huge character, so they probably thought, well, we better get our Swamp character out of there. And so Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson did such a beautiful job on Swamp Thing. So that's what they call him in the Bayou, Swamp Thing. And, like I said, started early with this, but man, look at that face on Swamp Thing. Okay. And then later on, Man-Thing appeared in like a reprint book. I'm just showing you first pages. It's more interesting. Now here's the thing. Here's the Man-Thing. Swamp Thing was really enjoyable to read, and he had his thoughts, and they were sometimes foggy, but he was trying to find a way to get human. And he was a really engaging character. Like I said, it's Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson. You can't go wrong with that. But with the Man-Thing, he was just this big, sluggish thing with like no thought balloons, no real mind. He was more an empathic character. And so he, if there's things going on, like there's a firefight, or if there's like a guy, beating up on another guy, maybe it's like a thief or just a violent person, and there's fear involved and all that stuff. The Man-Thing is like led to these he's empathic, and he's led to these emotions. So he kind of do, and he never moves so much as he moseys along. And I never liked him because. I mean, you could like Swamp Thing. You could punch through him and get a glop on your hand stuff, and invulnerable basically. And the Man-Thing, he's just dull. He's just dull as he just stands around, and Gerber or whoever handles him have to do all this purple prose to kind of justify his existence, and he always becomes like a Deus Ex Machina, like the bad guy may be running, whether it's a superhero or just a weird guy who's a troublemaker in the worst way. They would encounter Man-Thing, and he would touch them, and the term whosoever knows touch whoever so knows fear burns at the Man-Thing's touch. And he would end up like toasting the bad guys in it. And even with the superhero team up like Spider-Man and then the Thing and all that stuff, it's just yeah. I mean, I know Gerber did some really good stories around Man-Thing, but it was basically these stories, and then the Deus Ex Machina would show up, and I thought it was so limited. I mean Gerber's a genius, and I just never took to him. It's like I did Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing's much more. He's like a everlasting character who's always been in different media. I mean, I know the movies were pretty bad and all that, but Alan Moore took over and totally reinvented the character without screwing up the character. It just was a twist that changed. He explored so many things about how Swamp Thing is actually an environmental, like he's an environmental character, not just because of causes, but he's part of like this secret connection to the earth. But Man-Thing, he just shambles around, and I bought Iron Man Annual #3, which was penciled by Sal Buscema and inked by Jack Abel, and I really liked that combination. And that story was kind of neat. There was this little girl, I'd say like 9 or 10, and she ends up, her and her brother like running through the swamp, goofing around, just kid stuff, and then she falls and she sees the Molecule Man's wand, and she holds it. All of a sudden, she gets possessed, and that part's pretty crazy because there's a little bit of Twilight Zone kind of stuff going on here, because she uses the wand because she doesn't want to hear about her parents, so she reduces them to like doll size, which like I said, it's a good tip of the hat to those shows back then. And but you know what? There was so much wasted pages in that, and it's like Iron Man did a couple things, and he was like a guest star in his own book, but the main character in his own book isn't that interesting. It really isn't. I probably try and binge read a bunch of his books. I know I'm pissing off people left and right, but like I said, I think Alan Moore really. Len Wein and Bertie Wright, and they got it right, again, because of the heat. They saw this big character coming back, but they didn't know it was going to last, so they did a fantastic character in Swamp Thing. And later issues, Bertie Wright and Len Wein left the book, and it turned into a sort of a superhero fantasy book, and even had like a more heroic looking character. Masthead, and Nestor Redondo did some beautiful work. I mean, they had a lot of Filipino artists for the Filipino invasion, where DC hired all these fantastic artists like Alfredo Cala and Rudy Nebres. Marvel, Man-Thing was created by committee. I think it was Roy Thomas, Gary Friedrich, I think, and I think Frank Bruder for sure, it's just, God, Man-Thing is just like, oh God, is he in this book now? It's just, I'm sorry, I've never been a fan. Gerber could tell those stories without the Swamp Thing, really. He was just sort of like a thing that would show up and fry the bad guys, and I was like, that's it. So if I saw something with the Swamp Thing or Man-Thing in it, I'd be like, oh, pass. Gerber wrote some great stories. Like there was one about a clown, and I can't recall, but I'd rather have those guys, focus on those guys. All right, well, I'm sure I pissed off a lot of fans of these things, but please, I implore you, I beg you, to please, if you like what you saw, hit the like and hit the like and the subscription button and hit the bell for notification, and leave comments below. There's a lot to cover here, so that's my I have these theories ingrained in me, so that's all. I just wanted to geek out for a little bit and then blow my nose. See you, pals.